Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered if we're truly alone? What if one night, that question was answered in the most terrifying way imaginable? This is the story of Betty and Barney Hill, an ordinary couple whose late-night drive home turned into an extraordinary tale of abduction that would captivate and puzzle the world for decades. It was September 19, 1961. Betty and Barney were driving home to Portsmouth, New Hampshire, after a short vacation in Canada. The roads were dark and deserted, winding through the White Mountains. Suddenly, Betty noticed a strange light in the sky. It wasn't a star, and it wasn't a plane. It was moving erratically, getting brighter and closer. Barney, a skeptic, initially dismissed it as a satellite, but as the light continued to follow their car, his skepticism began to fade. Curiosity mixed with a growing sense of unease prompted Barney to pull over. He grabbed his binoculars and stepped out of the car for a better look. What he saw through the lenses made his blood run cold. It wasn't just a light. It was a craft, a silent, rotating, pancake-shaped object with a row of windows. And through those windows he could see figures, non-human figures staring back at him. An overwhelming feeling of terror washed over him. He felt they were about to be captured. He sprinted back to the car, yelling to Betty, "They're going to capture us." He slammed his foot on the gas and sped away down the dark highway. The next thing they knew, they were 35 miles further down the road, with no memory of how they got there. It was as if 2 hours of their lives had simply vanished. They arrived home in the early morning feeling dazed and confused. Their watches had stopped working. Barney's best shoes were scuffed and torn, and Betty's dress was ripped and covered in a strange pink powder. What on earth had happened during those missing 2 hours? In the days that followed, the strange occurrences continued. Betty began having a series of vivid, recurring nightmares. In these dreams, she and Barney were taken aboard the strange craft by humanoid beings. She described them as having large wraparound eyes, small noses, and thin, slit-like mouths. They were subjected to a series of physical examinations. Betty remembered them taking samples of her hair and skin. She recalled a long needle being inserted into her navel, a procedure she was told was a pregnancy test. Barney, on the other hand, tried to block the experience out, but he began suffering from severe anxiety, ulcers, and high blood pressure. He found strange circular marks on his body that he couldn't explain. The couple was deeply troubled. They knew something profound had happened, but the memories were fragmented, locked away behind a wall of amnesia and fear. Desperate for answers, they sought help. They were referred to Dr. Benjamin Simon, a respected Boston psychiatrist and neurologist who specialized in hypnotherapy. Over several months in 1964, Dr. Simon conducted separate hypnotic regression sessions with both Betty and Barney. The goal was to uncover the memories of those missing 2 hours. Under hypnosis, their stories began to unfold, painting a chillingly consistent picture. Barney recalled the car stalling and the beings surrounding them. He described being floated onto the ship, feeling powerless. He remembered being on an examination table, with a cup-like device placed over his groin. He felt both terrified and oddly detached, as if he were an observer of his own ordeal. Betty's hypnotic recollections mirrored her nightmares, but with even more detail. She described the beings' clothing, their telepathic communication, and the stark, metallic interior of the craft. One of the most fascinating parts of her account was a conversation with a being she called the leader. She asked him where they were from, and in response, he showed her a three-dimensional star map. It was a complex diagram of dots and lines, showing trade routes between stars. When Betty asked him to identify his home star, the leader seemed to indicate that she wouldn't recognize it. Years later, an amateur astronomer named Marjorie Fish would spend countless hours building models of nearby star systems, trying to match Betty's hand-drawn map. In 1973, she found a potential match, the binary star system of Zeta Reticuli. This discovery added a new layer of intrigue to the case, suggesting that the map Betty saw might have been real. Dr. Simon was initially skeptical. His conclusion was that the couple had shared a fantasy, a psychological reaction to the stress of being an interracial couple in the early 1960s. He believed Betty's dreams had influenced Barney's memories. However, the sheer detail and consistency of their separate accounts made it difficult to dismiss entirely. They weren't seeking fame or money. They were a quiet, respected couple in their community, deeply disturbed by an experience they couldn't comprehend. The story was eventually leaked to the press, and in 1965, it became a front-page sensation. The Hills became reluctant celebrities, their experience detailed in the best-selling book The Interrupted Journey and a popular 1975 TV movie. Their case became the archetypal alien abduction story, setting the template for thousands of similar reports that would follow. The elements are all there: the mysterious light, missing time, the silent craft, the gray-skinned beings with large eyes, the medical examinations, and the recovered memories under hypnosis. Skeptics have offered various explanations over the years. Some suggest the light was just the planet Jupiter or a military aircraft. Others point to sleep deprivation, shared anxiety, or the power of suggestion during hypnosis as the real culprits. They argue that the popular culture of the time, filled with sci-fi movies and TV shows, could have provided the raw material for their abduction fantasy. Yet, the questions remain. How do you explain the physical evidence: the scuffed shoes, the torn dress, the strange powder? Barney's circular marks. How did their watches both stop at the exact same time? And what about that star map? Was it a lucky guess, a subconscious creation, or a genuine glimpse of a map to a world light years away? Barney Hill passed away in 1969 at the young age of 46, his health having declined since the incident. Betty lived until 2004, and she never wavered in her story. She spent the rest of her life researching UFOs and sharing her experience, convinced that what happened that night in the White Mountains was real. The Betty and Barney Hill case is more than just a UFO story. It's a human story about memory, trauma, and the search for truth in the face of the unknown. Whether you believe they were visited by extraterrestrials or were the victims of a complex psychological event, their story forces us to confront the boundaries of our understanding. It remains one of the most compelling and thoroughly documented paranormal cases in history, a mystery that continues to echo from a lonely mountain road, asking us to look up and wonder. What do you think happened to Betty and Barney Hill that night? Was it a genuine close encounter, or is there a more down-to-earth explanation? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more mysteries.